Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Moa, aka Swedish Whiskey Girl, and today we're here with an Irish whiskey. It's the Clonakilty, and this is the single batch. It sits at 43.6% ABV, and it is from a distillery, the distillery of Clonakilty, which is located in, well, within the town of Clonakilty, which is close to Cork in Ireland. It's an Atlantic distillery, so it's located on the coastline. So there could be a bit of that kind of sea aroma in this as well. It is non-chill filtered and it's been matured in ex-bourbon casks. The family that started up Clonakilty was originally farmers, and they started up in 2018, I believe, and they have a few expressions out, but I believe this one is their kind of first expression. But let's start by having a look on the nose. It's a bit like green and malty, a bit mossy almost, but quite fruity, and it is triple distilled, and it also has a touch of that, the kind of Irish pot still almost scent to it. I haven't been able to pinpoint exactly what it is. I find it a lot in pot still whiskies, but it's this kind of touch of Ireland in a way, which is this kind of, let's see if I can describe it. It's a very clear and crisp fruitiness, but it's still at the same time quite dense. Is that contradicting each other? Yeah, so it's very clean and crisp, like it's just like this greenness often. It's like green clear fruitiness, but then that has like a dense edge to it. I don't know if that's a good description of it. If you have drunk a lot of Irish whiskey, you kind of recognize this difference between like this Irish kind of smoothness in a way that just makes it taste a specific way. If you know what I mean, please let me know how you would describe it, because it's a tricky one, but I think that's the first thing I'm picking out on the nose. They're quite like appley, and the oak's coming out as well. Almost a bit like blackberries as well, blackberries and apples, because it has like a dark denseness to it. A little bit cinnamony. Cinnamony? Is that a word? Yeah, cinnamony, blackberries, apples, oak, moss. But it's quite sweet at the same time. Quite icing sugar sweet, but very clear and crisp. So let's have a taste. Sláinte. Very pleasant mouthful, and wow, what a big burst of flavour. It's just trying to it kind of surprised me a bit. So it's this big fruitiness to start with, quite appley, and then you get a spice kicking in, which is quite cinnamony and maybe a little bit kind of clovey, but it's like a sweet cinnamon. It's like cinnamon sugar probably, and the oakiness behind it, so the tannins, but then it completely changes again, and that just disappears and leaves this kind of pear, juicy pear icing sugar sweetness that is quite very, very juicy. It's the memory I have of the flavour now after the first sip is just very peary in a way. But let's go in for another sip and see if I can make more sense of it. Yeah, super fruity, definitely. It's more pear on the palate, I would say, than apples. Maybe apples to start, because it's not super sweet right from the start, but the sweetness kind of kicks in and grows the more you taste it. Super lovely mouthfeel. It's quite clear. It's like a... When I say clear, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's clear in a way that if you're up hiking somewhere and you have this stream of water, it's super clear, and if you take a drink of it, it just tastes really clear. It's just not contaminated by everything, it's just like nature clear. That's the same sensation I can get in a lot of whiskies that have a really clear fruitiness, like this one does. And I'm also going to be really honest, when we got this bottle, I think last year, I wasn't so keen on it, and I can't really remember why, but I did taste it and I was like, oh, it's not really for me. It was some kind of funk to it, I think, in my, at least what I think it was, that I was like, oh no. But now when I'm retrying it, and this is why you should always retry whiskies, even if you like them, even if you don't like them, because you don't know how your palate changes. And now this has so much flavour and lovely flavour. I mean, I love a pear aroma in a whiskey, so yeah. It also has the oakiness on the palate, which I think makes the whiskey more robust. The oakiness is lovely because it's, oh, why is this so difficult to explain? It's, the edges are fruity, so the oakiness are in the middle, and it's like this oakiness, it has tannins. The tannins are fairly soft though, and I think it's because the outer edges are very, very fruity and juicy. And I know I've been talking a lot about this recently. When you close your mouth and you breathe out through the nose, this lingering sensation is like in the back part of your mouth and like almost in your throat. This is kind of murky fruit woodiness, which is just lovely, and I love finding that in a whiskey. It's, yeah, I don't like not knowing things, and I want to know where that comes from, what makes that into this sensation or the flavour. And I need to kind of start taking notes of which whiskies to give me this and see if I can find anything that kind of links them all together. Sorry, I'm about to get super nerdy on you there. But let's have another sip and see. It almost reminds me of Mackmyra brukswhiskey in its kind of fruitiness and the esteriness, and almost a slight like oiliness to the clear fruitiness, just because it kind of sticks to your palate a bit. It doesn't feel oily or greasy, but it just, the clearness and then the aroma is so quite smooth, it just sticks to you. I would say it's a little bit different on the nose. It's more mossy on the nose, I would say. And on the palate, the oakiness has that kind of juicy fruits around it, but it also has, and before I say that, the juicy fruits, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I think I'm going a little bit insane, but every time I taste something that I could relate to whiskey, I try and take a note of it, and I've been eating blueberries and cherries lately. And I think I explained this in another video, but the texture and the sensation of blueberries and cherries is that they contain a lot of water, so that makes them quite juicy as well. And pears are the same, and honeydew melon, for example. So that's the juicy fruits that I'm talking about. I would say this one's probably more blueberry-esque than cherries, because it's quite nature-esque in a way. Oh, and the oak. The oak also has a slight vegetal note to it. Yeah, but it's more this kind of, yeah, it's a vegetal note, but it's quite fresh. So it's like a forest after rainfall, that kind of vegetal note, not at all. I think it's the tannins that are more bringing the bitter note than the vegetal notes, but they kind of go into each other, so there's a slight bitterness, but it's nothing that distracts from the other flavours, if that makes sense. I am really enjoying this, as you can probably tell, and I wasn't expecting it, just because of what my memory of this whiskey was. So very pleasant to rediscover this one, and yeah, I'll have to keep sipping this. But I would love to hear what you think. Have you tried Clonakilty? Have you tried any of their other expressions? I think they also have a cognac one, a port one. Yes, a few different ones. So I'll definitely keep my eye on these moving forwards and see what else they'll be releasing and see if I can try something else as well. And of course, if you like what I'm doing here on YouTube and my other social channels, I'd be absolutely over the moon if you consider using my affiliate links the next time you're shopping with either Master Malt, the Whisky Exchange, or the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. All that information is of course in the description here below, as well as links to my Patreon, my Teespring shop, my website, and my Instagram if you're curious about that. As always, a massive thank you to my wonderful supporters on Patreon. I'm so grateful you want to continue to support me on my whisky journey. But I hope you've all had an absolutely wonderful day. Sláinte Skål.